When a movie is released on 4K, it not only gives us the peak presentation of the film, absolutely maximum video and audio quality, it also gives us the opportunity to revisit, to rediscover, or in some cases to discover for the very first time a film, a piece of art separated from all of the PR, the press, the interviews, all the stuff that was intended to sell us on the movie. When we watch a movie on 4K, we get to see it for the movie that it is, not the movie that it was sold as. And so for me, revisiting Crimson Peak on the occasion of this new 4K release, which comes 9 years after the film hit theaters, I'm rediscovering something. I'm rediscovering this aspect of Guillermo Del Toro that I don't know if I forgot about it, but this is a very unique presentation for Del Toro, a filmmaker who operates in the realm of the fantastic. Guillermo Del Toro tells dark fairy tales. His movies are often dark fantasy. I'm thinking of Pan's Labyrinth, which takes a very real historical crisis and cushions it, if you will, in the fantastic to help everyone cope with the reality of what's going on in that movie. Crimson Peak is different, and I think maybe I had forgotten how different it actually is. Crimson Peak is Guillermo del Toro doing a Gothic romance. Now, when I say Gothic, I know what exactly am I talking about. To me, a Gothic film, Gothic embodies extravagance and opulence at the same time as decay and decline. So frequently in a Gothic romance, you've got the old house on the hill and it's in disarray, it's in disrepair because it's old, it is starting to crumble, its best days are behind it, but the people within are living out these lives, often tragic romances. It's this juxtaposition of beauty and tragedy, of love and of death, and it's in the great tradition, the great literature tradition. It's a pretty singularly English creation. I'm thinking of Jane Eyre. I'm thinking of Wuthering Heights. But listen, lest we get too bogged down in the minutia of what Gothic romance actually is, think about those Roger Corman, rest in peace Roger Corman. Think about those Corman movies with Vincent Price in the 1950s and the 1960s, where he's the extravagant man living in this mansion and seeking connection, seeking romance. I mean, that's really what we're talking about. And that is at the core of Crimson Peak. It is a story of innocence, of a love that is tainted by violence and death, and then also a forbidden romance that should not be, that cannot be. And in between this, you get this really interesting Gothic. It's not a horror movie. That's the thing. It has so many horror elements. This is a movie with ghosts. There are a lot of ghosts and death and murder in Crimson Peak. But as Del Toro himself says multiple times in the interview, all throughout the special features, it's not a horror movie. He says it at least 4 times in one interview. It's not a horror movie. That's what he says. It certainly does have a lot of horror elements in it. He likes to tell stories that are fantastic. He likes to tell stories that bust outside conventional boundaries of genre. And that's really the thing here, is that Crimson Peak at its core is a romance between this innocent girl who sees dead people, like the kid in The Sixth Sense, and this horrible, violent relationship. And so Tom Hiddleston, so I should mention, so their character is Edith Cushing. That's Mia. Oh, is it Wasikowska is, I believe, her name. She played Alice in the Alice in Wonderland films, Tim Burton's films. By the way, you want to talk about an auteur, Guillermo del Toro being an auteur, Tim Burton being another auteur. We used to have many auteurs. We had 100 or more, and you could see their movies at the theater. Now those auteurs have frequently been absorbed into the studio franchise tentpole IP machine, put into these boxes where they're doing, they're directing IP films now. But, we were going to get a Guillermo del Toro Haunted Mansion movie based on Disney's The Haunted Mansion. He was working on that for a long time. Revisiting Crimson Peak, this is The Haunted Mansion. We already have Guillermo del Toro's Haunted Mansion. That's exactly what this movie is. No, it doesn't have the Hatbox Ghost or Madame Leota. It doesn't have licensed Disney ghosts in it. This is his Haunted Mansion story. which seems unconcerned with more concerned with the people than the ghosts. So she plays Edith Cushing. Mia plays Edith Cushing. You better believe the Cushing name is a reference to Peter Cushing, who made made his career in the kinds of movies that we're talking about. And Tom Hiddleston plays Thomas Sharp, who is this. He's a businessman who's seeking funding for this thing. It's almost what he's doing is almost incidental. And then his sister, Lucille Sharp, is played by Jessica Chastain, who I just love. It's just a really interesting movie. Here's the thing. I don't think all of it works. There's something I can't quite put my finger on. I'll say this: the ghosts element to the story. Every time we see a ghost, my intention is not to spoil this for you, but there are ghosts in the movie. They're done with visual effects, with computer graphics. They take me out of the movie because Crimson Peak is so rooted in reality, because the house that they shot in was real. Now, of course, there's sets and things like that, but there's this huge, the Gothic house in which all this drama goes down in. That feels real to me. It feels approachable and touchable and human and tragic. And then you throw in CGI ghosts. And I'm like, well, it breaks the reality for me. I would also like to mention that this film has an incredible, lush orchestral score, which is not something that we get a lot of anymore. We are living in the age of, tones that substitute for a score. For those that are looking, there's a lot of symbolism in the movie. And this is one of the things that I resonated with this time that I don't think I was far enough along in my movie, sort of whatever, my critic career or whatever, to really pick up on the first time. But there's so many moths and butterflies in the film. The butterflies being the beautiful creatures that spread their wings and fly. The moths being the dark black things that consume the butterflies. It's not particularly hidden symbolism, but it runs all throughout the film, and it's on their costumes, and it's in the wall work, the wallpaper and the engravings on mirrors and ironwork. There's this theme of like butterflies and moths. There's also a thing with the use of color in the film. It's black, white, and red. And of course, the white symbolizing the purity of Edith, our central character, and then the red, of course, symbolizing blood, and the black symbolizing death and darkness. And it's always butting up against each other. It's always, the whites. And there are so many scenes in the movie that take place at Crimson Peak, which is this location in the movie. There's snow, and then under the snow is this red ore. I think Crimson Peak is a pretty good movie. Maybe even better now in a time where we don't have a lot of pretty good movies. We have a lot of splash and spectacle. And I don't know, I connected with something this time watching Crimson Peak that I don't think I had seen before, which is that this is an auteur telling a story that he wants to tell the way he wants to tell it, and he does not care if you're along for the ride. He's not going to spoon feed it to you. It's your job to keep up with what he's doing. I admire that. I respect that, and I wish more filmmakers were like that. This 4K is incredible. So it comes in this. Arrow Video, who has put this out, did do this on Blu-ray back in 2018, I believe it was. Now that was 6 years ago. So we now have 4K. There is no Blu-ray in this package, but this is the 4K version of that release, with literal hours of special features. We've got Guillermo Del Toro's commentary. We've got an interview with Guillermo Del Toro, a 50 minutes making of. Then they go into a featurettes where they talk about the house and the symbolism and everything you could possibly want from this release. There's a video essay by Kat Ellinger. There's an interview with Kim Newman, who I always enjoy watching. Well, I should mention that it is the movie was shot in 2K. Well, it was shot at 2.8K digitally, 2.8K. And then they finished the movie, all those effects, everything. They finished the movie in 2K. So to have a 4K, that means it's an upscale. It does, however, look very, very good. And it does have Dolby Vision. It's been given an HDR pass. So, of course, that means the reds are redder. The blacks are blacker. The whites are whiter. Like, it's a good thing. The movie has never looked so good. It never will look this good again. This is the top shelf presentation of Crimson Peak. But this is just really well done. There aren't a lot of Arrow releases that are like this. It opens like a book, leaning into that gothic, that opulent, lavish, but also decaying form, So we've got this ribbon marker here. You take this ribbon out. There is the 4K. Again, no Blu-ray. There's some art cards here, double-sided as well. So one side, there's Charlie Hunnam, who I haven't even mentioned because he plays, I guess, the good boy in this movie. There's a good boy, there's a bad boy. There's Tom Hiddleston. We do have a reversible poster with the original poster artwork and this artwork. And this is the coolest thing. It's a book. Again, super gothic. This is not, there's not a movie in here. It is just a hardback book. And I love this. I love this package. I love this presentation. I know this film is divisive for some people. I think one of the reasons it's probably divisive is because Guillermo Del Toro has made so many crowd-pleasing movies that when he makes a movie like this, where people just aren't quite sure what to make of it. But this is in the grand tradition. I'm going to reiterate this again. This is in the grand tradition of American international films and British and specifically European Gothic cinema. You know, these companies like Severin and Vinegar Syndrome, there's this whole idea of capturing this. It was a moment in time, the 50s, the 1960s, where this kind of movie just had a moment. I just really enjoy this film. Again, it's not perfect. No movie is perfect, by the way. We say too often, it's not perfect. The reason I say that is because, like, yes, I am aware of the film's flaws, though we all seem to have different interpretations of what those flaws are, because movies are subjective and no movie is for everyone. It does have some flaws for me, but at the end of the day, the overall feeling and atmosphere is something that I think we need more of in our modern cinema. We've gotten far away from it. And when a filmmaker like Del Toro tackles the subject matter and has the production budget to make it possible, we're all better for it. So again, if you were upset that we didn't get Del Toro's Haunted Mansion, consider Crimson Peak, because this really is his Haunted Mansion. And had he made that movie, he would have borrowed a lot from what he had already done. So I enjoy this film, but I would like to know what you think about it. If you're interested in picking up this new 4K or the Blu-ray release, I'm going to put a link in the description of this video. You scroll down, there it is. If you click that link, you're supporting Serial at Midnight because it is an Amazon affiliate link. I do get a little bit of a commission off of that. So thank you for using those links. You can also support via Patreon, YouTube memberships. Remember to subscribe so you do not miss a review video like this. And again, I would love to continue the conversation about this film in the comments below. Guys, thanks so much. Take care. Till next time, I will catch you later.